So I've been back from up north for a while, hooked up these batteries in series, and they had charged to 3.41. It's where I kept track of it. Okay. It charged to 3.41. There's a difference between 3.42 and 3.41, partially because I switched voltage meters. I got a Klein voltage meter just because I didn't trust my other one, but my other one is just fine. They're just both read different. So I'm going to try and explain what happened with my batteries. It might not be the greatest chalk in the world, I don't know. It's a kid's chalk, sidewalk chalk. And I just put this up. Okay. Is that going to work? Not at all. So when I get the batteries, this is a voltage, a chart of a lithium iron phosphate, LiFePO4, lithium iron phosphate battery. It's not a lithium ion battery, it's a lithium iron phosphate, Fe, lithium iron, and PO4 phosphate. So when I got the batteries, they're charged between 3.27 and 3.28, which could have put them pretty much anywhere from here to here in their state of charge, which is why you have to top balance them. The top here is 3.65, and then the bottom is 0. The top you're supposed to charge them to at the max is 3.65. The lowest is here at 2.55. Okay. So when these batteries came to me, I'm not sure where they are in here. And that's why you have to top charge them. A lot of people say to go all the way up to 3.65. Although here's the thing. When I watched My Off-Grid Garage, he has a program, and he taps or can catch the parts of the graph where the battery is at any time. And he found at this point here is 3.4 volts. And at this point here is 3.1 volt. Now, this little space here, from 3.65 to 3.4, that amount of battery charge is virtually nothing compared to all that you get in between here. These batteries will drop and stay at around 3.28 for a really long time before they fall off the cliff. So he said at 3.1, you could go as 3.0. It makes no sense to go to 2.55 because you're stressing out your batteries, just like it's no sense to going up to 2.65. So this has nothing to do with an 80%, 20% charging. At 3.4 volts, you're about 95% capacity of the battery. And then this here really doesn't matter because it falls off so quickly, you're really not getting anything, so why damage your battery? So this is the area that you're really looking to use as the part of the battery that you're going to charge and discharge constantly. Okay. Now, I kept trying to charge my batteries up, and I could not understand why I would get a battery that that's a positive terminal, that's a negative terminal, that would read 3.6 and then drop down to 3.0 And he talked about something called absorption. And so from what I can figure out is that maybe it's just the top part of the battery, or part of the battery charged up to a high voltage, 3.6. But the bottom part of the battery was still at 3.27. So once all this energy, now it actually goes from one side of the battery to the other side of the battery. Once all the energy that was maybe at the top of the battery dissipated throughout the battery, it all dropped. And that's why it was taking me so long. Now the other thing is you have to remember, the other reason it takes so long is that I am charging a battery at 3.4 volts that holds 202 amps. So that takes a lot of charging on a small benchtop charger like it's a DC voltage supply, something like what I have, puts it out just under 5 amps. It would take forever. So changing the voltage around to a 12 volt, it's a little more risky without a BMS. You really keep your eye on them, and none of this cells spike and you damage your cell. I did have some of them go high, but they seem to drop right back down again where they were supposed to. So this stage that I went through here, where the voltages kept going up and down, is the absorption stage, as far as I can tell. So I'm like, people that are watching this, like, I'm not the Bible on this. I'm not the scientist here. This is just what I've kind of figured out. So that's why it took so long, and that's why the voltages kept dropping off. And I kept thinking there's something wrong with my batteries. There's something wrong with my batteries. There's something wrong with the batteries. Now you just saw that I checked my batteries and they're at 3.45, which is not the way I set my benchtop charger at, but that's what it reads on there. So when you're charging your batteries, which is going from 3.1, so in other words, it's the opposite, but if you're discharging, it's you can flip it around. When you have your input from your solar panel, so your BMS will tell you what each cell should go up to, and you will tell it to go up to 3.4 volts each cell, down to 3.1. At 3.1, your BMS is going to shut it down. When one cell goes to 3.1, everything shuts down, so you don't damage your battery. And when one cell gets up to 3.4 volts, it shuts down. The BMS is supposed to try and even them all up, so if one of them slightly higher over time, it'll repair that and they'll all go up to 3.4. So there was another thing he talked about, float charge. Float is only for lead acid batteries. Lead acid batteries, I don't know if you can see this. they go like this. Okay? So almost immediately you see that you accelerate. It's like taking a sled down a hill. You keep accelerating. Like here you have a lot of amps and voltage you're drawing, but here all of a sudden you have to pull more energy out of the battery because you've lost so much power from it. And then here it's just you're almost done, and then that's the cutoff. It's 50%. You can't use it anymore. That's why lead acid batteries are just a waste of money. So anyways, so you don't have a float with a lithium iron phosphate battery. My solar panels will try and keep this. So even if I use a little bit of energy, it'll continuously try and keep these at 3.4 volts. And that will allow for absorption. That will allow these batteries here, instead of only being partway full, to be completely full. So what I'm going to do is say that, so each of the 16 cells makes the 48 volt battery, which goes up to 58.4 volts. They're 202 amp hour cells, and usually they'll, if they're good ones, which they are, they'll go up much higher, like to 212 amp hours. So from between here and here, if I use that power, I will have the you go the voltage 3.4 volts times, let's say 212, I'll have 11,532 kilowatts, or 11.5 kilowatt hours. Now, for each battery pack that I make, and that's actually a considerable amount of power. So, to review again, the batteries took so long because there is so much power. I don't know where these batteries were, whether they were here, here, one could have been there, one could have been there, I don't know. However, they've now all been taken up to a little bit higher than here, 3.45, but they're balanced. The current drawing went down to 0. So that's what will happen when it's connected to my solar panels. The inverter will also work along with it, but the charge controller will make it pull in 3.4 volts until the amps drop off to 0, and then my battery pack will be, in essence, fully charged. Not at full capacity, which would be as if it went to the full maximum and full minimum, which gives you a little bit more, but then you hurt your battery. So that's going to be pretty much my working capacity of the battery. So when it goes up to 3.4 in the future, that'll be fully charged. And then 3.1 will be fully discharged. That's the way I'm going to talk about that. I am using a threaded rod, just 1/4 inch, which is kind of flimsy, but I don't know. I'm using threaded rod. I guess part of it is I'm using what I have, because I have some M8. I don't know what you call these things here, like these, but they're actually, they're better. They're that sort of thing. And then you take this going into the wood, and then you bang it into your wood, and then, you know, you take a bolt or threaded rod. The idea is to slightly compress the battery bank together. So in between the batteries is going to be this. It's an anti-static, non-conductive material. And the reason I'm using it is because the batteries have this plastic cover on them, and then if that were to wear through or somehow rub together, it is actually positive. There's voltage on there, so that's not very safe. So the idea is then to, this is the outside of the box. There'll be 4 of these. I'll line my batteries up. I have some plastic tubing to cover the metal. And then another board on the other side that will have these, but I'll turn them around and I'll tighten them until roughly what I think. As long as they're under some kind of tension, it helps hold it together. So let's do this. You've seen me chisel before. And the first one wasn't done very nicely, but it's not important. The big thing is that as long as it doesn't spin around inside, it just I will probably cover it up with something just in case there is any electrical escape in there. Remember, I'm new at this. It's also a little scary because it's, you know, it'll end up being about 54 volts in here, and that probably kill me. So got to be a little careful. And I haven't come up with my complete battery design yet. I'm just going to put the box together to a point, then see how things fit together the best, which you'll be able to kind of understand once I've kind of done this and have my spot for the batteries to go. Once I've done that, then I'm considering using, you can use a fuse or a circuit breaker. You don't have to, but all the people that I've been watching seem to be doing that. Now, I kind of like the idea of a circuit breaker because I use that as an on-off switch. You know, if I got to do something or add a box or something like that. Remember when I was at the cottage, I used the resistor to get my inverter started, which is of course a good idea because it you don't have the spark. And with these sorts of things, what can happen is with these inverters, putting 54 volts into them right away, it can blow them out because all the capacitors and everything have to fill up with, see the language I'm learning? Capacitors. I never knew anything what a capacitor was or a resistor before. Necessity is the mother of invention. Huh? It's fairly hard wood. It's Baltic birch. So it allows it to be a bit thinner. Okay, you fit in there all the way. Say, almost should be. Look at my holes are too big. Kind of drilling that out a little bit. I had the drill here before. So yeah, the other side these things will go on backwards and just be used to tighten. Yeah, see, that's taking too much material out. Okay, come on. Nope, gotta go deeper. Oh yeah, this one doesn't need an out there. Yeah, now my extra light here is kind of in the way. Yeah, the Baltic birch does not carve that easy, but like I said, I want these things to be flush. Then, no, still not good enough. It'll also keep them from moving. It doesn't have to look good. I'm not doing a very good job here. But then I don't have to do a good job. All it's really doing is making that, whatever it is that I'm using there, just making it flush. And like I said, I will cover, I'll put some tape or something, cover it so that there's nothing on the outside of the box. The other thing is when I assemble the box, I'm thinking of, always helps me think when I put stuff together, as opposed to, you know, so some of my ideas on this have changed, and what I'm thinking of doing is running the two main positive and negative wires out the back side of the box straight up, and possibly even putting a like a hole in so that the there, okay, that's that. Now, yeah, putting a hole in and then having the okay, hang on a second, I'll kind of construct the box here so you can see where that's going to go. Okay, you get an idea where the threaded rod's going to go. So this is the piece that goes in at the back. I sure hope I did this right. Didn't do the middle piece. Then I would feel really stupid. A lot of biscuits. Problem is on the end, when I put the bottom piece down, the side pieces are going to be a bit of an issue. So I might have to leave some of the biscuits out. Okay. Didn't retract all the way and got caught and just tore this all out. Luckily my fingers are still there. Yeah, like I said, when they're don't get used enough, you get a little sticky in spots, so I have to be extra careful. It is possible it was me that I didn't let it come back all the way. I'm not sure. Has been a bit sticky, but I'm gonna let the dust clear and then I can glue this thing up. Let it get glue inside. So I think Lamellos are a Swiss company, if I'm not mistaken. I saw a video on a guy said these things weren't very good because they were loose. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end grain, which normally doesn't work, but this is actually plywood, so the grains going in one direction might actually hold something. Normally it wouldn't bother. Anyways, he said they didn't fit in right. Used DeWalt. So for sure they're made in China. And of course it won't work. Some of them were loose, some of them were tight. Yeah, you get what you pay for. So I bought the more expensive Lamello. It says Lamello right on the biscuit. I don't know, some people never learn. I don't know why people think DeWalt's I guess your stuff is decent, but I don't know. It's not like what Alu was before they ruined that company. Now, so I'm back in my shop again. It's been a while. I got COVID a few weeks ago. Gave it to Barbara. Really knocked the crap out of me for like 2 weeks. I still have a lot of issues with breathing and coughing a lot. You can hear me clearing my throat. Anyway, so the other thing I was waiting for also was a switch. I'll show you. That's that guy right there. I got this through AliExpress. This thing is huge. It's a 63 amp on-off switch and breaker. See that on the top there? That's where the wires would connect. Now, this is where I'm gonna fasten it in my box. I have the BMS there, but couple of little standoffs there just to help that cool. And they have to cut the face out of the end board that goes on here. Hopefully this works. It has it's made for protecting your battery. Although it says when you're charging your battery, you're supposed to disconnect circuit breakers coming from the charger. I don't know what that means. So it'll mean the positive goes into the top from the battery, and then the bottom wire will go around, and I'll do it just like the way I did this one here. So this one here will feed through that one hole there, goes around to a bus bar block that will go on here. Okay, so when I get my BMS connected, I had to extend it because the layout of my batteries, I tried to have this one here is the main negative, but I don't know, I couldn't get it to configure that way, so I added a bolt through that and then an extra connection, so I'll wire it to there. That'll be my main negative, and then that will go on to the bus bar there. Just so that if something happens to my BMS, that I can take it out. I can switch it out for another one fairly easily, or take it out. This here wire will go through that hole, runs to the back where I have my disconnects here. So I will be taking this copper thing there, running a 4-gauge welding wire. That's what I want to do. I use reinforced tape. So this is the way it's going to be set up. So this will be the battery. And so I've taken 4. I put my little foam in between and compressed that with some clamps. Not too tight, because, you know, if the swells have to move. But at least this way I can pick up, you know, if I could probably... Okay, so there it is all together. Had a nightmare getting these bolts in. Very hard to figure out. I usually tell torque just by the feel of it. And then I was looking to see how it... These are the foam pieces in between. I gotta be careful how I touch this. These are the foam pieces in between, and I guess they look fairly closely compressed to the other ones. Don't want to compress them too much. Now, I haven't attached the BMS yet, but this is the moment of truth. Okay, I gotta make sure nothing falls here. This is scary. Alright, black is positive, and I got nothing because I went to 20 volts. I'm used to going to 20 volts. To go to 200 volts. Okay, and there we go. 54.8 volts I have sitting here right now. Technical difficulties. This is a pain in the ass. Okay, so I've got 2 of these connected, and if one of them isn't connected and you connect it to your, if one of them isn't connected and you connect it to your BMS, you fry your BMS. So I'm just checking these all as I'm going along. So that's my main negative there, and that's my first positive, 3.42. I go to my next positive, and it's 6.85. So yeah, now it's doubled because that's how many volts is going to that one. So I guess I can do one more. Hang on. Okay. Jeez, I gotta make sure I do this in the right order. Okay, this one. Like I said, it's very nerve-wracking doing this because it's like, you don't want wires to touch anything. You don't want to burn out your BMS in the middle of this, right? So to make sure I'm always on the positive. And I just decided not to work with my gloves because it's just too much of a pain. And luckily I have my insulated open end wrench here. Sure that's tight. Sure that's tight. So this should be, I don't think I can do, I used to be really good at doing math in my head, but I don't know. Maybe it's an old man thing. Okay, so there I am at my main negative. First cell 3.42. Second cell 6.85. So this should be around 10. Third cell, oh come on, why are you flashing? First, second, third cell. 10.29. So there, if I don't know if you can see me, there you go. I'm going to keep doing that till the very end and then look at the instructions again and then let you know what's happening. Okay, after going through a unbelievable amount of work here, I finally managed to set this up. I tried it on my cell phone. I tried it on my laptop. This is Barbara's iPad, and it finally worked on that. For some reason, I don't know why it wouldn't work on my phone, but so here I've set the parameters. Focus is off. So that's what I've set the high voltage protect at 3.41 instead of 3.75. Low voltage. I don't know why that's showing 34.5. Why is that showing 48? I don't know what's going on there. The cell low voltage changed. But that didn't. Oh, there it is. So the numbers on the right and the left are the same, but some volt high protect is 54.5 instead of, okay, I'll leave it at that. 48 volts, 0.8 volts. Charge over current. I don't know why that didn't change. Okay, I'm gonna press active balance and see what it. Oh, I guess I gotta do this. Yeah, I don't know why it's showing that the battery is only half charged. I guess because of the way my parameters are, but see what happens. I managed to get it to work again on an iPad. Still won't work on my phone. Found out a couple of things that kind of did more research, which it's really hard to do. You don't get a lot of help through Daly. Not at all. So the parameters all seem to, when I went over them today and went through everything, and I'm kind of learning, they seem to be set. And the battery level indicator here showing it's only half charged. I guess that's not going to change until so my BlackBerry recognized it, but then I can't download the app on the BlackBerry. But my stupid Pixel phone Pro won't. Anyway, so what I'm going to do here is clean up this wiring a little bit. This needs to have the battery kind of discharged and charged fully before it actually knows what is supposed to be full or not, before that'll actually show more than half. And the Bluetooth thing, I don't know if that just works once in a while. There's another cable here for plugging it into the laptop, but I have to take the Bluetooth wire off and then run another program through my laptop. I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is just find a place where I can... I think this is going to work. Just mount this on the front somewhere. No, I've got my battery turned on. I shouldn't do that. And then the Bluetooth too. Leave that, hang out the front somehow, and then big next steps are going to be screwing the lid back on again and carrying it into the garage. So I'm going to have to ask Daniel to help me there because, like I said, this thing I think is going to weigh about 200 pounds. I got the rope pulls on it on each side of it, but it's still going to be really hard to lift. So I'm going to move it in the garage so it's ready to go up north. And kind of figured out what I'm going to get: a 3500 watt, 120 volt, all-in-one inverter, and 6 bifacial solar panels, and set them up there. I have a sub-panel box already, and I'll have to get some circuit breakers for that, and then start, I don't know, getting some circuits going up north. So when this is all together and I got this cleaned up a bit,
gonna hold.
Don't use it. We're gonna
okay.
use the box.
So well, I don't know, but that's why you guys have got to lift it up very carefully. Yes. By the handle, by the rope handle.
Okay.
Can you lift it? Can you lift it, Hannah?
I tried lifting it first.
Hold on. Yeah,
can you lift it?
It's fine. It's fine.
Is it really fine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oof. It's heavy. But
yeah.
It's fine.
It's probably around 200 pounds.
Oh,
that's over 200.
Well, it's probably over 200.
I can lift 200 by myself. Easy.
How many reps can you do?
What do you mean, how many reps can I do?
So you can
Not
lift
even
it.
one.
Don't hurt your back though. Bend with your knees.
And don't drop it.
Okay. Okay, so I had to videotape that. I've watched all these videos of people building battery boxes. I have yet to see anyone pick up a battery box. And as you can see, my son lifts weights and his girlfriend's strong too. And I couldn't help lift it because I had back surgery, so I'm not allowed to lift anything. Yeah, it was difficult for them to lift. So you have these companies that sell battery boxes that have metal handles on them. And I have 202 amp hour cells. And some of these are meant for 280 and even 320, which are bigger cells and way more. Just think, how do they carry them? How do they lift them up? How do they move them around? That's something they never show. So when you're building your own battery, I've seen a lot of guys just build these, like put a rack up and then just take all the cells separately and just make a rack. And I just kind of have it a little bit out in the open. so they're not handling such a big box. And I probably will make another box like that. I don't know if Barbara and I can lift that box up. I don't know. We have to get it into the cabin. Don't know.